Hey, yo, what's the deal? It's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag, you know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 4:46 p.m., you know what I mean, June 4th, 2025. You know, and I'm coming at y'all with sort of a discussion video, but not necessarily. You know what I mean? It's definitely relevant for sure. Because, you know, there are plenty of newsletters out there. There's plenty of dirt sheets out there that people go to, that people rely on for news, right? Now, we know about the credible ones, right? The top ones. I think there's about four. There's pretty much four. Four and maybe one on the side, right? You know, the four that I think about is the Wrestling Observer, right? Wrestling Observer. The Wrestling Observer, okay? PW Insider, PW Torch, and Fightful, right? And if you also want to throw in WrestleVotes, you can do that, right? But I'm mostly focusing on the four tops, right? Because whenever you automatically think of those publications, there's always that one person that sticks out. Right? There's always that one person. And what I hate is when that publication puts something out, right? And when they get it wrong, right? It's usually the person who puts out that source and such is the main person, right? And to me, that main person is the publication. Let me give an example. The Wrestling Observer, right? You might think of Brian Alvarez, right? But everyone automatically will pinpoint to Dave Meltzer because he is the Wrestling Observer. He is that publication, right? So whenever the you know, that and Figure 4 Online, right? Like that's Meltzer. That is Meltzer, right? Let me see. PW Insider, right? The main person I think of is Mike Johnson. You know, whenever that people might think it's Dave Scherzer, but to me it's Mike Johnson. It's Mike Johnson. What else? The Torch, Wade Keller, right? Wade Keller, and of course Fightful, right? Even though they got a number of people, the person who I automatically link that to is Sean Ross Sapp. To me, that is Fightful. He is Fightful. Like, Jimmy Van might be the founder, right? But Sean Ross Sapp is the Doja of Fightful. And I call him Doja because he's a bitch-ass nigga. But, again, you know, when people put something out there, usually it's always that person in the front line, right? So, what I don't like is when these motherfuckers get their shit wrong, right? They automatically blame it on other people in the staff, right? I didn't put that out there. I didn't say it was, but you did. You did. You fucking did months ago. And then when people check you on it, right? Then you fight with these people. Like, you know, Sean Ross Sapp, right? Whenever someone's gonna say, okay, well, you know, you got Corey Brennan, right? Corey Brennan from Fightful, right? But also, Sean Ross Sapp is the main person. Anytime, think about this. I noticed something, right? Think about this. You know, with Corey Brennan, I don't know the motherfucker personally, you know what I mean? But I will say this. You know, whenever he puts something out, right, he puts Corey Brennan of Fightful, right? Sean Ross Sapp is just his name because Sean Ross Sapp is Fightful. He's Fightful. I mean, he is Mr. Fightful. So when that motherfucker gets news wrong, right? You know, and when people point it out, right? They said, well, he'll make up some bullshit to make it look like it wasn't him who put it out, but he did put it out. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So anytime someone puts out news, right, you automatically know it's from that person, right? Wrestling Observer. Every time the Wrestling Observer come, like a new, a news article comes out from Wrestling Observer, right? It's automatically Dave Meltzer. Automatically. Brian Alvarez doesn't break news like that. It's always Dave Meltzer. Brian Alvarez always, speaks on, his show. You know what I mean? He's not the one who's typing all the shit out. It's Dave who types the shit out. Same thing with Sean Ross Sapp, right? Because, think about this. There's a lot of people in Fightful, right? But if we're talking about someone who's putting out the news, it's that Kentucky faggot. You know what I mean? It's that faggot, that faggot motherfucker from Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Sean Ross Sapp. You know what I mean? So anytime, when there's a publication, right? When there's a publication, you automatically know who's putting that news out because that person is associated with that, right? Wrestle purists, right? Wrestle purists. Ebel was the one who, was basically the main head of Wrestle purists until he wound up going to Fightful, and then look what happened with this girl, you know what I mean? And I think it was Britt Baker, and boom goes the dynamite, right? Credibility shot. But again, if we are talking like people who are the head of that publication, you automatically think of that person, right? Who puts out the news and shit like that, right? Because they're the face. They are the face of that publication. Like I said, let me go back to Fightful, right? Jimmy Van is the founder, right? Jimmy Van's the founder. How the fuck you're the founder, but yet you're not putting out news? I don't get that shit. You know what I mean? Jimmy Van is the founder, but Sean Ross Sapp is the main person who's putting the news out and such, right? So like I said, a lot of these people are bullshit. A lot of them are bullshit. A lot of them are fucking bullshit and such. But there are people who tell the truth and stuff. But I mean, look, but we had to rely on these dirt sheets. You know what I mean? To get news and everything else, but it is what it is. I still have to rely on, going to these websites and such. I know websites, they don't have, they have sources that just falls flat. Ringside News falls flat, right? Ringside News definitely falls flat. Like there's nobody there who, you're just putting out news from other sources. And that's okay, because that's what I'm doing with my, that's what I'm doing with my website. I don't have sources like that. You know what I mean? I'm not in the industry like that. Would I love to be? Of course. I would love to be in the industry. I would love to, because I love professional wrestling. You know what I mean? But, I'm surprised they don't check their sources. Like whoever's their main person, I'm surprised that they don't check them. Like, yo, why did you say this? Why did you say that? You got me what you said was wrong. Like, I can't trust you and such. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think, B. You got to think. I'm about to be out, guys. You know what I'm saying? Because I got things to do. And I will be coming back with another video tonight. Again, I am not watching no fucking 4-hour Dynamite. You can suck my dick if you think that's happening. All right? So I'm going to holler at y'all tonight. Peace.